You guys want Oud for greatness vibes without that insane price tag? Well, I got you guys covered. Hey, what's good? Hunter here and welcome back to Fragrance Hunter. Good to see you guys. Today we are reviewing another fragrance from Lattafa. This particular one is Lattafa's Oud, Oud for Glory, which, man, this has got to be one of the most popular from Lattafa. Of course, looking at this bottle, you already know what this is going to be inspired by, which is Intio's Oud for Greatness, one of the most popular oud niche fragrances money can buy, but very, very expensive, well over $300 for a bottle of it. So if you love that fragrance but don't really want to spend over 300 bucks, this might be one of the best alternatives you can possibly get. I purchased my bottle a while back, I've worn it so many times since getting it, and finally getting around to reviewing Oud for Glory from Lattafa. And I'm a big fan of Lattafa, guys. We're one of the most popular Middle Eastern brands that just keep pumping out bangers and bangers. It's hard to keep up with all the fragrances they're making, if I'm being honest. But I do actually own well over 20 fragrances from Lattafa, so you know they're good. Now, unfortunately, I don't currently own a bottle of Oud for Greatness. I used to have a partial of it, but I eventually sold it. But I'm very, very familiar with that DNA. So let's run down some information. So Oud for Glory was launched back in 2020, which will probably make it one of the first inspirations of Oud for Greatness that came out on the market. And for the retail price, only size this comes in, which is the 100 ml, is gonna run you only $20, give or take, guys, which is an absolute insane price tag for the quality of fragrance you're getting as well. I mean, it's insane how Lattafa can pump these out for around 20 bucks. And you already know I got you guys with a tag on this video, the best price you can find Oud for Glory for. And if you can find this for around 20 bucks, basically a no-brainer if you love this DNA. The concentration is going to be an eau de parfum, so you're probably getting around 20-25% oils in here, which is very respectable. And for the perfumer, unfortunately, that is going to be unknown, which is most of the time the case with these Middle Eastern brands, at least back in the day, but now they're getting some of the best noses in the entire business. So let's go ahead and look at the packaging and presentation you get with Oud for Glory now. So take a look at this box, which has this kind of clear glass cutout on the front where your bottle is housed, so you can't see it inside. Oud for Glory Lattafa Oud, which is part of that collection. On the bottom, you got your batch code to authenticate your product to see when it was produced. It looks like mine was produced in May of 2024. Nothing up top. On the back, all your information, ingredients, and barcode, made in the UAE. And you open it up like so, and your bottle is going to be housed in that foam cutout. Actually insane to think that this box presentation is only around 20 bucks. Let's look at the bottle now. Now take a look at this beautiful bottle, which is very similar to Oud for Greatness. Of course, you got this kind of gold and black plaque on the front and the sides. Oud for Glory Lattafa. On the bottom, you actually got this gold plaque, which is a beautiful touch. I love that. Nothing on the back besides the Lattafa embossed in this kind of glass bottle. Up top, the Lattafa logo. Nothing inside the cap, nothing on the atomizer, and this cap is very heavy. Plus the bottle is heavy. It does have this kind of rubbery texture to it, which is probably overlaid on top of glass because, yeah, this bottle got to weigh like 2 pounds. It's very hefty. In the top, you got that saffron, nutmeg, and lavender. In the mid, you got oud and patchouli. And in the base, you got more oud, more patchouli, and musk. And this can be classified as an oriental woody. So let's spray this and test out these atomizers. Decent atomizer. Unfortunately, it's not pressurized, but that's not the biggest deal. And that note breakdown is obviously very, very similar to Oud for Greatness. Now, let's go ahead and remind myself of Oud for Glory now. So yeah, this is going to be extremely close to Oud for Greatness. If you had them side by side, it would be so hard to tell the difference, guys, because in the opening, you're going to get that signature saffron note that is known in Oud for Greatness. Now, the saffron in here comes across very spicy and extremely leathery, guys. Now, I always classified Oud for Greatness as like Baccarat Rouge for men, because if you know BR 540, it's also known for having an overdose of saffron, but it's kind of done in a slight more feminine way compared to this. Just ultra spicy, ultra leathery in the opening from that saffron, and you're also going to get, of course, that nutmeg, which adds even more spice in the opening of Oud for Glory. And if you don't know, saffron is one of the most expensive spices in the world. I personally love saffron, like putting it on meat, putting it in milk. I've had saffron a lot of times in my life and it's delicious. And I'm just a huge fan of the smell. I'm honestly not getting much of that lavender. It's not really aromatic. It doesn't really have any florals going on, just ultra spicy, leathery, and earthy. And then once you get into the mid is where that signature oud starts coming in, guys. You're gonna get a ton of oud after about 20 minutes applying this. And the oud in this one does come across very earthy, a little bit dirty and slightly barnyardy, and very, very medicinal kind of oud. So of course, you already know you're gonna have to love oud if you're looking into getting this one, obviously, oud for glory. This isn't really going to be your kind of Western, slightly clean, woody oud. It's gonna be more so like this Middle Eastern, barnyardy, slightly funky, earthy oud. Which between me and you, I prefer the latter, trust me. That's how oud should come across. Oud isn't a clean wood at all, guys. If you don't know anything about oud, it's been used for thousands and thousands of years. It comes from a moldy wood. Very, very luxurious, expensive, and exotic. And this captures how oud is supposed to smell, which is why it's one of my favorite notes of all time, if not my favorite note. And I like my oud to have a little bit of funk, so this is right up my alley. Because if you want a regular wood, go get some sandalwood or cedarwood. Oud's not gonna be for you. And then finally in the base of oud for glory, you're just gonna be left with the oud and this patchouli that starts coming through that's in the dry down. Now the earthy patchouli is very heavy, guys. This could almost be called patchouli for glory as well, because the oud and patchouli are the two most dominant notes, mixed together with, of course, that saffron in the opening, but it doesn't really last the entire length of the DNA like the oud and patchouli does. And for me, you can literally never go wrong with oud and patchouli combined together. Two of my favorite notes of all time. So yeah, you already know I'm in love with this DNA. I will say though, the scent profile is very, very linear. It's not that complex. There's not many facets about it. Basically, primarily just a leathery, spicy saffron, the earthy, barnyardy oud, and then that earthy kind of green patchouli in the base. And that's pretty much it. But not every fragrance has to have like 50 different layers, 50 notes going on, very complex. And this kind of proves it right here in and of itself. I mean, it basically tells you what you're getting. You already kind of know what you're going to expect to be getting, and it does it to the greatest perfection possible. And for around 20 bucks, this nails the oud for greatness DNA almost perfectly, guys. Probably around 85–90% similar, and you're gonna save over $300, which is mind-blowing. And oud for greatness in and of itself is a very linear DNA. There's not many changes within it, so it's not that hard to kind of be inspired by or make something very similar to it. And Lattafa, of course, know what they're doing when it comes to that. For the best season to rock Lattafa's oud for glory, what do you guys think? This is, of course, fall and winter strictly. I'm never gonna wear this in the summer or even the springtime unless it's a very cold, kind of crisp spring evening, then possibly. But wow, this fragrance right here is almost like fall and winter in a bottle. I love wearing this one in the fall when it's kind of chilly outside. You got the dead trees, the leaves on the ground, you're going to like a coffee shop, maybe doing like Halloween activities in like October. This gives you kind of spooky Halloween vibes. The kind of fragrance to wear like to a haunted house, because it kind of smells like those people dressed up in like ghillie suits at haunted houses. That's how dirty and earthy this fragrance comes across. It kind of gives off that vibe. And for occasion, I would categorize this as more of a luxurious kind of formal attire situated fragrance rather than casual. It's not like a fragrance you want to wear every day, running errands, going to the grocery store, you know, going to work even, or anything like that. It's more of a formal situated fragrance for going on a date night. Just anytime you want to smell a little bit different. This is not your fresh, everyday kind of fragrance. Primarily for like special situations only for me. Unless possibly you live in the Middle East and you can wear this as like a signature scent, because that's pretty much all they wear over there is like rose, ouds, patchoulis, etc. But in the States, like where I'm at, you might get some funny looks if you're walking around smelling like this everywhere you go. People just are not used to that here. So yeah, I would love to live in the Middle East where everybody's wearing oud 24/7, because that's right up my alley. For gender, I'm gonna categorize this as unisex, leaning masculine. Like I said earlier in the review, guys, this is kind of similar to Baccarat Rouge 540, but done in a masculine way. It's almost like take Baccarat and add oud and patchouli to the DNA, you get this. So ladies, if you love something that smells like this, you're into these kind of darker, mysterious, earthy fragrances, you could check it out also because of that saffron. But definitely for the men out there, of course, this is going to be great for you. So at the end of the day, unisex, leaning masculine with Lattafa Oud for glory. For age groups as well, I'm going to say this is a mature leaning fragrance. I don't really imagine anybody in the late teens, early 20s kind of gravitating towards a scent profile like this, unless you're anything like me, because I know in my early 20s, I loved oud and patchouli. It was my favorite notes when I first started getting into fragrances, and still is to this day. And that was like probably 5 or so years ago. So I know a lot of you young fellas out there have very good taste in fragrances. So if that's you, you can rock it. But still, it does have a mature scent profile to it. Probably anybody like 25, 30 and up would probably rock this one the absolute best if I had to categorize it. And I know you guys hate when I categorize fragrances with age group, but hey, this is my review. and fragrances lean youthful, some lean mature, and that's just the way it is. For instance, if you take something like polo green or even gray flannel, does that smell like a teenager fragrance to you? No. So that proves my point right there in and of itself. Now, wrapping the review off, talking on the performance you're gonna get from Oud for Glory. Guys, this is a good performing fragrance. I did get above average performance from it, which means I got around 10 hours of solid longevity on skin. If you go ahead and spray your clothes, it's gonna last a day or two. It's very strong, very potent, but you also kind of expect that giving the scent profile it smells like. Because most of the time, oudy, patchouli, earthy fragrances last a very, very long time. This is one of them. And also very good for being an eau de parfum concentration rather than being an extrait de parfum, because it definitely kind of performs like an extrait. And then when it comes to the projection, it's not gonna be a beast mode room filling, but it's also not gonna be an intimate projector. I got about moderate projection from Oud for Glory. So people are going to smell this one, so be cautious whoever you're around, because you might possibly offend some people with the scent. Like if you wear something like this going to the gym, expect to possibly get kicked out of the gym and get some funny looks, because yeah, you have to have some social cues when you're wearing something like this, guys. So just make sure you're around the right people, the right weather outside, and you'll be set, because people are going to smell this one off you, especially if you're sweating. Ooh, it could become a little bit too much. So above average 10 hours of longevity with it, and about moderate projection for the first few hours, which is just so crazy, because for around 20 bucks, you're getting one of the best interpretations of Oud for Greatness, saving around 300 bucks. A fragrance that smells fantastic with that patchouli and oud and saffron, and has above average performance, guys. You're gonna smell like a $300 fragrance without a doubt with this, and it's not gonna break the bank, which is why Lattafa is completely changing the fragrance game. So let me know down below if you guys have had the chance to try Oud for Glory. What are your thoughts on this one? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? I'm very curious what you guys think about it. And of course, besides that, leave a like on the video, subscribe below if you haven't already, because what are you doing? I got you guys with the daily fragrance content, and I'll see all of you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody.